everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the White Highlighter, where I'm going to talk weekly about Real Madrid news, Real Madrid ideas, and basically whatever I want to talk about Real Madrid. For my first video, I'm going to describe what I think Real Madrid will be able to do with their pretty much confirmed purchase of Toni Kroos. So for this, we're gonna use lineupbuilder.com to make a formation that I can use to show you what Real Madrid will probably look like next season. So basically, Real Madrid uses a 4-3-3 because that's the system that the players work best in. A good manager knows how to incorporate any formation and how all the tactics and formations work. And that's why Carlo Ancelotti took until January of his first season at Real Madrid to find the correct formation. He had used the 4-4-2, the 4-2-2-2, the 4-2-3-1. He had used the 4-3-3 with Khedira instead of Di Maria. But in the end, he finally got to the point where he realized that the 4-3-3 was the best formation to use, especially because he could make of Di Maria a great midfielder, or what in Spanish would be called interior. So yeah, and basically because of the players that Real Madrid has, like Bale, Ronaldo, Benzema, it can't play the 4-2-3-1 because you can't bench Modric and Kroos, and because you can't play the both of them at the same time in the double pivot position. So basically you can go over all the formations, but only the 4-4-2 and the 4-2-3-1 would work. And it's important to note that only once last season did we really play 4-4-2 with the BBC intact, and that was when we scored 4 goals against Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena. Okay, so whatever, I'm gonna go ahead and make the formation. The main formation should be the 4-3-3, and I am going to make this pink or fuchsia, magenta, whatever it's called, because that's going to be the color of the away kits and the lines in the home kit. Okay, so the forward will be Karim Benzema, because he's the perfect forward for our kind of system, because with Bale and Ronaldo we have people who cut in and shoot. They are, along with Benzema, the main goal scorers, so we don't need someone like Falcao because he doesn't have that kind of profile. Luis Suarez had that kind of profile, but I don't think that there's anyone that can play with the ball on his feet better than Karim Benzema. Now, if Carlo manages to give him a more important role similar to what we've seen with France, then I think that the BBC will be even better. Because Benzema, the last thing Benzema needs to complete his kind of profile is to become still a bit more of a threat in front. Okay, so Benzema, Bale should be even better because he's had more time to rest and will have a preseason. Ronaldo, hopefully he recovers from the tendinitis and comes back perfectly. Modric is indispensable. Angel Di Maria is amongst, he's practically the modern footballer, because the modern footballer knows how to play different roles and is a very dynamic footballer. That's why guys like Mesut Ozil and Juan Mata and Samir Nasri had been cut off from several other teams because they're not as functional as these players are. And that's one of the more important trends to notice in modern football: functionality, and how players can work together to reach a common goal. So Di Maria might not be renewed, and one of the rumors is James Rodriguez. And to be honest, from the videos I've seen, from the highlights I've seen of him in the World Cup, most of his plays started from the midfield position around here. So I think that he could incorporate himself into the Di Maria role with a bit of work ethic installed. As Carlo Ancelotti said, defending is more about work than talent. So I think that even if Di Maria gets sold, James Rodriguez and Isco can incorporate themselves into that position, because that's how Di Maria did it. Only that he has always had his great work ethic, and that's why it was even more easier for him. So anyways, I hope that Di Maria renews, so I will put Di Maria. And Isco is the alternative. And the alternative for these for the forwards can also be Isco and Di Maria. You don't have to buy more forwards, especially considering that Jesse will be back. It's not prudent to buy someone like El Shaarawy to be our backup for the 3 positions when we already have Jesse. And Benzema will have someone else, but that's a question mark. And of course here as well, Di Maria as options. And here Isco, and then the main man, I think that Kroos will come in and play in the Xabi Alonso position. Basically, Toni Kroos has been told to adapt into a more backwards position by Pep Guardiola in the last season. That's why he has gone from a number 10 that would operate in this area right here to more of a midfielder that would operate in the interior positions, which are these. And I've seen videos of him where he basically has the complete game you need to play the Xabi Alonso position. Only question mark is if he can improve his defending game. But I have full confidence he can. And anyways, a virtue of the 4-3-3 is that the midfielders interchange positions. Di Maria, of course, is the box-to-box midfielder that's more attacking. That's why Isco would more typically play there. And you need the more center midfielder that is Modric to be a bit back, so that Kroos and Modric can interchange positions, which is much easier to do with Modric and Kroos than it is with Modric and Alonso, considering that Alonso is way slower than Kroos at this day and age. Kroos is not the fastest guy in the world, but he's not as slow as some people might think. He has been a forward for most of his life. After all, Xabi Alonso was never that. And neither was Asier Yaramendi, which has failed because he has been average, and he will probably be loaned, and he will only come back to Real Madrid if he can prove that he is good enough to at least be a relevant backup. And of course, Varane is a prodigy, the Messi of defenders. Ramos, Carvajal, Coventrell for the big games, as it has been since the 11-12 season. And I'll put Casillas or Lopez, doesn't matter who, as long as they both perform. And then here we go Marcelo, Nacho, Pepe, and Arbeloa. But since this video is about Kroos, basically he would be incorporated into the Xabi Alonso role. In the 4-3-3, you have a midfield of 3, so you win the midfield battle against most teams, like the 4-2-3-1, because you have more people pressurizing, you have more people to move. In the 4-3-3, if someone goes inside here, this guy can go here to create width, and Ronaldo can cut in forward, and this midfielder can come here to cover for Coventrell. Same goes to Di Maria. Coventrell can stay here, Di Maria can go here, and Ronaldo can go ahead and cut in. that's how the 4-3-3 works. That's why Ronaldo's lack of defending, for example, has been less noticeable, because you have more midfielders to cover for that spot instead of in the 4-2-3-1 where you would have these midfielders. But this one usually stays up there. And to defend in a 4-2-3-1, you would typically go like this and defend with a 4-1-1. But Ronaldo never tracked back. And with Khedira and Alonso as your main defenders here, it never worked as good as having three players with a particular role of working in the three-man midfield. You can have more triangles, you can have more ways of helping each other. And the same goes for here. He can cut in, Carvajal can go over there, Modric can back up here. I'll be right back. And that's how it basically works. Or you can have these men going forward, these men pushing up to help against the counter, Kroos helping clear the area up. But typically, anyways, the formation will look more like this, with Di Maria being more advanced. And then these two guys can interchange position to help solve different problems. Kroos can go up and shoot, etc., etc. And it's important to have players who offer variables which can take down margins, because football is a game of margins. That's why even when Barcelona won their sextuple, you could see that they only won against Chelsea in basically the last minute, and against Real Madrid in 2010 to 2011 they only scored 2 goals once Real Madrid had 10 men. That's why I think that tiki-taka has been overrated. Spain and Barcelona won their titles with normal margins, even small margins, and I think that teams like Bayern Munich from 11-12, Bayern Munich from 13-14 even, Real Madrid from 13-14 are as good and maybe even better than the Barcelona team, because football has advanced since then. So yeah, that's basically how the team should look like for the 14-15 season. 14-15 Real Madrid. And that's how it should look like. We have these people working together. It's a dynamic team. And of course, one of the impressive things that Carlo Ancelotti did was also incorporate the 4-4-2, because we had the players to incorporate that. So in a 4-4-2, we can cover the spaces and help the defenders even more, cover overflows with up to 3 players. For example, if the 4-4-2 would look like this. You get these same players, and it's even more important for Kroos to learn how to defend very well. And you defend with a 4-4-2. And basically, if you have Robin, for example, coming here, you have Di Maria, Coentrao, Ramos, and even Xabi Alonso to help defend. You have an overflow of three players here, maybe even 4. He passes it back to Mulder or Götze. They come up here and they help defend. You have the same here. You have Modric and Bale helping out Carvajal, and you have Ronaldo and Benzema helping in a little bit to help destabilize the flow of the more possession-based teams. But something that Real Madrid should improve on is the kind of game that we saw Real Madrid play against Bayern Munich when Bayern Munich got tired. They went more up front and created their own game. I'm talking about the pressing game. Real Madrid should get even better, and we should be able to see it an even more potent Real Madrid side with even more variables and options if Carlo Ancelotti and the players do their job right. And of course, Isco can cover this position as he showed against Bayern Munich and Barcelona, and I have good hopes that Isco can work in the 4-3-3 as well, as he has shown in the last matches of the season. So yeah, thank you for watching the video. I think that's how Real Madrid will work in 14-15. They will use a 4-3-3 and a 4-4-2 with a dynamic set of players that have a great future. Isco has 22 years of age. He's 22 years of age. Kroos is 24 and a half. Di Maria is 26. Benzema is 26 and a half. Bale is 25. Carvajal is 22. Varane is 21. So there's a good mixture of winning talent and young prodigies in there. Isco is the future of Spain. Varane is the future. Isco and Carvajal are the future of Spain. Varane is the future of France. And there are rumors we might even bring Luis Gustavo, which would offer something good to this side, as he offers a profile that Real Madrid doesn't have, which is a defensive midfielder, which is totally different from a box-to-box midfielder or a guy like that. Luis Gustavo is a guy like Javi Martinez or Claude Makélélé. Not really box-to-box players, more defensive midfielders. And I think that he would offer more than what more than someone like Khedira can offer, because we have Di Maria and Isco and Modric and Kroos, people who can do that in the midfield, do what Khedira does mostly, while we don't really have a defensive midfielder. So we could even use a 4-3-3 formation with Luis Gustavo here, Kroos here, Modric here. There's a whole lot of things you can do. And the reason you wouldn't use a 4-2-3-1, for example, is because there's no reason to change that. The 4-3-3 is more or less the trend of the season. The trend of football, 4-2-3-1, is going out. And the team works better when Benzema can drop deep and help with the flow and pass the ball here, pass it there, pass it everywhere. You don't have the same midfield coverage. And also because we have Di Maria, we have Modric, we have Kroos, we have Isco. If you use a 4-2-3-1 and you put Isco here, you can't have a midfield with Modric and Kroos and expect to win. You need someone who can play the ball, who is Modric and Kroos, but you also need someone who can help you defend, which it could be Khedira, but he's not good enough. He's never impressed me. It could be Luis Gustavo, but then you have to bench one of Kroos and Modric. And if Di Maria stays or James Rodriguez comes, what about them? So the 4-2-3-1 can't work here. The 4-4-1-1, I mean, that wouldn't work. You wouldn't have Benzema behind Ronaldo. And anyways, that's a very small difference from the 4-4-2. The 4-3-1, the 4-3-1-2, they're very similar things, but in the end, if you compare really different things like the 4-2-3-1, you can't have anything else. So Real Madrid were lucky enough to buy the right players to be able to create a modern total football team. That's what I consider to be total football. A team that can attack and defend with great poise. Barcelona doesn't really do that. They might move towards that direction, but they're always going to be more of a possession side. Bayern Munich could do that more last season. That's why they impressed the whole world. And that's the way football is going. Bayern Munich scored 7 against Barcelona last year. We could have scored 10 in aggregate in the last 3 matches we had against Barcelona and Bayern Munich, more than 10. And Brazil got destroyed by Germany 7-1. Could have been more. So the future of football is a functional football where you have players that can do different things, and that's the future of football. And that's why France played with a 4-3-3. They have the players to do it, and they played a very good football. Germany played with a 4-3-3. Real Madrid plays with a 4-3-3. Juventus will probably play with a 4-3-3. PSG plays with a 4-3-3. Manchester United will probably play with a 4-3-3 or a 4-3-1-2. So yeah, you have all of that. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the white highlighter, and please subscribe for more videos every week of Real Madrid. See you next time, and Ala Madrid.